Good morning, dear students. Let's start our third chapter, The Making of Global World History, Class 10. This chapter is divided into different parts. The first part of this chapter is the pre-modern world. The second one, the 19th century. Third, the interwar economy. Fourth, rebuilding a world economy post war era. So these were the following different topics in which we can deal in this chapter. The first one, on the first part, the pre-modern world is basically divided has topics related with globalization. Now globalization of the world means making of global world has a long history of trade as well as migration of people in search of work, movement or capital, etc. Globalization is an economic system that has emerged since the last 50 years with history of trade, migration, people of working in search of work and movement of capital and so on. Now from the ancient time we have seen some of the travelers who travel from one place to another, or we can see some of the traders to sell their products or buy the different products, and as well as priests and pilgrims who travel from one place to another in search of their peace and travel vast distance for their knowledge, spiritual fulfillment, opportunity, or to escape persecutions. Now, these people carried some of the goods, different materials, money, values, their thinking powder, their thinking power, skills, ideas, invention, and sometimes even some of the kinds of disease which they are having in their local areas or germs. For example, we have seen as early 3000 BC an active coastal trade link had been introduced that is famously known as the Indus Valley Civilization. With the present day, it is situated at western part of Asia. For more than a millennia, cowries that is known as Hindi cowrie or she-shell is used from a century as a basic structure of currency in trading terms, and from the Maldives found their way to China and eastern parts of Africa also. In the pre-modern world, we can discuss about Silk Route of our country, food, travel, and conquest, and some of the disease and trade happen during the pre-modern world. The first one is your silk routes, link of the world. Now the silk routes are interconnected with the modern trade and cultural links between the distant part of the world. Many silk routes are identified during the search process of historians over land and by the sea route also, or by knitting together they had a vast region of Asia and linking Asia with Europe and northern part of Africa itself. In this picture also you can see over here the Silk Route was started with Shanghai belonging going to like this structure. Some part of Asia is also having the Silk Route, and it is basically a part of southern, western and eastern part of Asia. It connects like this. So you can see over here these areas are known as Silk Route, which cover a large area among itself. Now, they are also known have to existed since before the Christian era and thrived almost till the 15th century. The Chinese pottery, textile, spices are trade from the India and Southeast Asia traveled the same route. In return, the precious metals of gold, silver are followed from the Europe to Asia. Christian missionaries and Muslim preachers also traveled from different route, different areas of the world through this route to Asia. Another one, the Buddhism emerged from eastern India and spread several directions through intersecting point on Silk Route. You can see over here in this picture a merchant of from Venice and the Orient exchanging goods from Marco Polo. From the books of marvels we can see, which was written in 15th century, he is just exchanging the products from each other as a barter system in earlier times. Our second topic of the pre-modern world includes food travels, like some of the food like saffrageti and potato. Now, while traveling from one place to another, we or some other persons also carries food items of their local. Now, you can see food is a good example of long distance of cultural exchange. Traders and travelers introduced new crops to the new land areas they had traveled. Suppose, for example, ready foodstuffs like saffrageti or noodles share the common regions or origins. It is believed that noodles travel from west from China to become saffrageti. So such of the examples like saffrageti or noodles are the common origins, means they are traveled from the western part of Asia, China to become a saffrageti in the European country. Now some other examples, Arab traders also took pasta to 55th century in Sicily, an island now in Italy. Now the Arab travelers have taken the same kind of food item and its name was changed and some other food spices were changed in that particular common thing. Now many of our common food items such as potato, soybean, groundnut, maize, tomatoes, chilies, etc. were not known to our ancestor, means these are the food items which are not grown in our country in India. Now these foods were introduced in Europe and Asia after the Christopher Columbus, the great sailor, had accidentally discovered the vast continent known as the Americas. Many of our common food are came from America, originally inhabitants the American Indians. The people who were living in America, they were earlier known as American Indians. So these food items such as these potatoes and tomato or soybean or groundnut etc. are came from these particular land area to our area and very proudly we are using these all food items. Now sometimes the new crops could make the difference between life and death also, such as in Europe. One example is given in the book. Europe, poor people began to eat better and live longer with the introduction of humble potato, as potato is very common and very easy to grow food item. Now, Ireland, the poorest peasants became so dependent on potatoes that when disease destroyed the potato crop in the mid 18th century, Hundreds of thousands of persons have died of starvation as they were not able to produce the potato crops as it is totally infected from the virus.